Hello guys, and welcome back to ErebosGamingHD. So I've arranged a fight with Eddie Chambers. It's our first big name, and this video is going to be done a little bit different, but I'll explain that shortly. But as you can see here, I've got a sparring invite the week before the fight. Now obviously I can't take the fight, because if I did, then whatever stamina I used up in the sparring would actually be taken off me for the fight, which would make the fight a hell of a lot harder than it should be. So I'm just going to ignore the sparring invite. I highly advise you do the same. It seems as though on Greatest of All Time they seem to do that more often. They put your sparring and events right next to, the fight, which is really annoying. But what can you do? You just gotta ignore it and rest. Here are my stats. I'm going to put a little bit on my jab, I think, to that star, and then I'll probably get my head movement up just down the bottom there where that star is. I'll probably just put that to the first star there because it's worth it. And I think I can squeeze a little bit more on the jab, and that'll be that. So with this fight, what we'll do is I will show somewhat of highlights. Not like a pure highlight reel of the fight. You're still going to see all the best bits and stuff. I'm just going to cut out any sort of stale, stagnant rounds. So off we go. So this is round 1 of the Eddie Chambers fight. Now, obviously I'm talking over this sort of post-commentary, so I can sort of relax a little bit and chat a little bit more about what's going on. So, obviously, Eddie Chambers is... Well, this game is set of sort of the best Eddie Chambers. He was a good fighter a few years back. He started coming on the scene again lately, and I expect this to be a tough fight purely because he's got quite a good reach. He throws quite a lot of good punches, and he's not very predictable. So it wasn't an easy fight by any stretch of the imagination. As you can see here, he's catching me with lovely shots to the body. He's doing basically what you would sort of half expect a person to do. He's probably not sidestepping and stuff as much as you should do, but even with what he's doing it really effectively. And this is like the first fight that I had on Greatest of All Time, whereby it was like an actual sort of like, I've got to try here to actually do this. Not that I didn't have to try so much with the other ones, it was just the other ones weren't as difficult. There wasn't really any sort of sense of, I might actually not be able to do this now. And obviously, because I'm talking this post-comms, I can tell you that I have done some other episodes as well. Obviously we record... Well, by the time you see this, of course, we record at least a few episodes in advance. So when you might be watching, for example, episode 1, we're probably recording episode 6. And that's just the way that we obviously upload, to ensure that we can upload daily. And so obviously if you have any suggestions about the format of the video, how you prefer the video, let us know, then we can incorporate that. Just don't expect it to come in place instantly, because obviously we've recorded a few episodes in advance anyway. But yeah, we've got our website that's up now, guys, which is ErebosGaming.com, in our new banner. We're partnered with Curse as well. We've got a video coming up on that shortly. That should be quite exciting. And I'll talk through just briefly, because I've just realised I've forgotten my old train of thought, which was this fight. The format that I was going for is I'm just showing you the important rounds. Now, rounds 1 and 2 in this fight were quite crucial, because as it turns out on the scorecards, Chambers won these first 2 rounds. Now, obviously that makes me a little bit, he's winning the rounds, I've got to pull something out of the bag, which was why I wanted to show rounds 1 and 2. But after this, we'll probably skip to about round 6, and that's when the sort of fight sort of kicks in gear, and I can actually start doing some damage. It's very much samey between now and round 6, but I just wanted to show these first 2 because obviously he does get the better of me, and I just wanted you to see them to make sure that, that you didn't think I'd gone down like 3 or 4 times or something stupid like that, because that wasn't the case. It was just... He was timing the punches well. I was being quite predictable, being quite, careless with it really. And see, I throw a jab straight, miss with both, and he just comes swinging in with the right hand and clocks me around the face. Now, he's a shorter guy, he shouldn't be able to do that to me, and he is. I'm not playing great at this point. Every time I throw, he seems to just be hitting me first, and I wasn't sure what the hell was going on. So, I just did not know how to sort of hit this guy without him beating me to the punch every time, if that makes sense. It just wasn't happening. And then I started sort of working the body a bit at the end. I'm throwing too many punches. It's the end of the fight, the end of the round, sorry. It's like 10 seconds left and I'm still throwing punches, and you don't want to be doing that because my recovery rate will be absolutely poo. So, here we go. We're on to this is round 6 now. Fight's been dragging on for quite a while, as you can see. We've both got reasonable recovery rates. My stamina's probably a bit lower. I think either the same or lower. I mean, it probably looks lower in my view. My health is obviously better than his, but health doesn't mean a great deal on this game. It's all about the stamina. But if you're fighting the way I'm fighting, then it tends to be the health that catches him anyway. I don't know with this. Sometimes when you're fighting, it's weird. Sometimes the health is the main concern, and if you've got someone cut, like I've cut Eddie Chambers, when he's caught, obviously catching him on the face drops his health significantly. You saw that punch there, just did tremendous damage to him with one punch, and it can really turn the fight around. And then when your health's low, you're moving more, you're throwing more punches to defend yourself, and then therefore your stamina drops. So you could argue that it is all about reducing their health. However, I think there has to be quite a fair balance, because if you don't get their stamina down low enough, you're not going to be able to do any damage to significantly drop their health in the first place. So there has to be some sort of balance. If you're just going to spend the whole time hitting the body, yes, it can be effective. We've seen that. I've done videos and I've shown snippets of me just standing with Mike Tyson throwing nothing but left and right hooks to the body, and you beat people quite a lot of the time. Likewise, you can do it with Isaac Frost, and you can only throw punches to the head and it'll win. So there is exceptions. I'm not saying that there isn't. I'm just saying that for an all-round fight and for an all-round fighter, you want to be going for a nice balance. So you want to be getting head shots, you want to be getting body shots. And with this character, as you can see, I'm mainly just jabbing and straight into the head and just getting that health down. The way that I'm going about getting the computer's stamina down is by just outsmarting the computer, by making them come at me, and look at his eye. That's just unbelievable. So as I was saying, with a real player, you can't rely on them to gas themselves out, because a person won't chase you around the ring throwing punches if you're not there. But as you can see, all I need to do is walk into Eddie Chambers and walk away, and he'll start to throw punches, even though it just doesn't seem to work out that I'm going to walk away. Even though if I was playing a real player, he'd probably know that I was going to walk away and not bother throwing, if that makes any sense. So that's why with a computer you can get away with just punching them in the head, whereas against a real player, against an actual person, you got to find a balance of head and body and actually sort of work it that way. So, like I say, this fight, it sort of picks up, like I say, at this time, and that's why I skipped to here. If you'd prefer maybe more of a highlight where you actually just see the actual knockout, the good punches and stuff like that, then I can surely do that. Like I say, any information, any feedback is great from anybody that you're watching these series or any series, in fact, of any of us. Leave a comment and we'll sure try and do his best to do what you've said. We're also streaming on Twitch, guys, as well. We are streaming a game called Rift. If you guys have ever played that, it's an online MMO PC game. We've streamed Diablo in the past. I'd like to stream Fight Night. In fact, I would like to stream Fight Night. The only problem is my internet connection isn't the best, so streaming Fight Night isn't an option for me at the moment. I just haven't got the upload speed, unfortunately. But I would like to stream Fight Night. I'd like to do maybe a career mode through, or maybe just run through legacy mode. That'd be good. It's just a shame that I can't do that, unfortunately. I will try and get that sorted though, obviously, guys. If I get chance to get an improved internet, I'll take it, and then maybe I could stream maybe Legacy Mode live. Maybe I could stream like online fights or whatever people wanted, really. Now this guy is being pummeled. He really is being pummeled. Now, obviously, the reason why I showed the first 2 rounds was because obviously I was down, as you can see here on the scorecards. He won the first 2 rounds 10-9, and that's the reason why I wanted to show the first 2 rounds, purely so you could just see what happened, see how he actually ended up winning the rounds there, which is like I say, beating me to the punch. I was throwing too many punches, I was being lazy, and you could see that in the first 2 rounds. I've obviously had to pick it up, and that's sort of wow. I always seem to finish people with that. The jab, right hook. It's my favourite combination. One of my favourite combinations is the jab hook. I think I said that in another video as well. It really is. It's not even so much of the effectiveness, even though it is effective. It's more just the way that it looks when it lands. When people get KO'd by it, or when they go down by it, it just looks so sweet. They're just the jab hook, and it's just that's it on the floor. So, what was I saying before that? I was obviously down the first 2 rounds. Now, there's 2 ways you can go about it when you're losing a fight by 2 rounds, or 3 rounds or 4 rounds, whether you've been knocked down 2 or 3 times. And I used to have this quite a lot. So I'd play online, and maybe I'd be playing with a friend, and he'd been knocked down like 3 or 4 times. He'd get up for the last time and just hand me the pad and just say I can't be bothered, or whatever. Or it'd just be me playing, and then I'd get knocked down a few times, or you may be losing on points. And it's so easy to give up on a game like this and just throw in the towel, or just exit out, or just whatever. But I think if you actually just sit and think about it, it's not that complicated. It's just 2 guys throwing punches, and if your stamina and health are in a good place, you've always got a chance to win. If your stamina's really low, you're gonna find it hard, but there's always a way you can win. There's always a way. There's always a chance you can win. And as you can see, obviously with this video here, I was down 2 rounds, and then after that I've picked it up, and that's it. I've just been steamrolling ever since. And that can happen online as well. If I know that I'm losing, then I can just turn it around, and that's what you need to sort of be able to do with a game like this, especially any sort of one-on-one game that works on that sort of principle. If you just give up every time you're sort of getting the better of, then you'll never actually end up winning anything significant. Because of the fights that you actually could have won, you won't end up winning because you just exited too early. So there's the scorecards in the end. You can see partially the reason why I was down by 2 rounds is because my punch percentage was so poor. You see I was 42% overall. He was actually better than me on all stats there, which is not good at all, but obviously I won the fight, which is all that matters, I suppose. But that definitely needs to improve before the next fight. And you can see obviously with the scale up in opponents that it was a bit more difficult. We're only on our 8th fight, so who knows, by the time we get to maybe the 15th, 20th fight, things might be quite tough. So thanks for tuning in, guys, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye bye.